were arresting everybody at the end.
Yeah.
They kettled the group in there and picked them off one by one and arrested them.
Yeah. And they did that, to send a message to those people for next time, don't come. They need, have been told you need to back up your arrests. We want hundreds arrested, so now they're grabbing anyone and arresting them. There was a video online where you can hear a senior police officer give an order to go get some of them. And the officer says, who, which one? And the senior officer shouts, it doesn't matter. And they run in and grab people. The GB News presenter, Martin Daubney.
Yes, you know him, don't you?
Yeah, was stood there recording it on his phone, and a police officer jumped on him and handcuffed him straight away. It was only that another police officer said, no, he's on GB News, they're okay, let him go. He was stood there filming things in his suit, shirt and tie. He just left the office.
And I think since then he's been really angry, hasn't he, about it since then?
So, again, two-tier policing.
But the example the other way around, there's also recording, and I'm sure you've seen this, Muslims in, I don't know where it is, it might be Birmingham.
Yeah.
I think some of them have got weapons.
Yeah.
And the cop was talking to them, and he said, oh yeah, you know, just can you keep that for a while, because some far right thugs were coming. No, basically enough is enough protest was coming down the street. Keep back, guys, he said, and he actually said, and it's taped.
Yeah, I've seen it.
He said, we're here to help you. We are here to protect you.
Yeah.
So the police are there to protect the Muslims, but not protect the English people who are doing the enough is enough marches.
Well, that gets worse. Or there's a different one where he says that, and then he says to the crowd, go put all your weapons back in the mosque.
Oh, yes, you're right.
So go put all your weapons back in the mosque.
So if those are white guys with weapons, they'd be in the police van as soon as you...
Horses, everything would be going.
Yeah, correct.
We saw Birmingham last night, riots.
That's another thing I was going to mention. No, carry on. I was literally going to mention that.
Yeah, so, gangs of, dozens or 100 Asian youths, all tooled up, going round, assaulting people, and they're not called far right, they're not called Islamists, they were protecting their neighbourhoods.
Yeah, they're there to protect their community against the far right.
And
they were driving around the roundabout, skidding around, dangerous driving around there, people standing there, weapons, masks, no police at all to be seen.
No. Again, we keep saying it, two-tier policing.
It's worse than that.
I've not seen any videos. I'm not saying they don't exist. I've not seen any videos of groups of far right people walking around targeting individual Muslims.
No.
I think I saw a taxi being smashed up, and there's a guy, I presume it's a Muslim guy inside it. So there's one. But no,
but I have seen Muslims attacking white people. They dragged that guy out of a pub and gave him a hell of a kicking.
Yeah.
And somebody else was stamping on his head, a Muslim crowd again. But we hear nothing about this, do we?
So the violence at the moment from white people is verbal, damaging shops, and attacking the police. The violence at the moment from groups of Muslim men is proper violence. And they're not being tackled because, again, the government is saying they're victims. They're victims. They're just protecting themselves. And it would have been nice for these 200 or 100 Asian men with weapons to have come out and protested about the rape of 100,000 white girls. Come out and protest about the blowing up of the arena. I keep saying this, but where were they when other things were going on? Why didn't they come out and protest about the Rwanda stabbing to death 3 kids? It could easily have been their kids he stabbed. Why didn't they come out then and join the Enough is Enough saying, we don't want any more children dying? Why didn't they do any of that? They didn't do any of that because they don't care. Because they weren't their children. And even if it was their children, they killed their children anyway. With acid attacks, honour killings, and girls aren't as valuable as boys. So they wouldn't have come out anyway. But they come out...
You gave that example of that guy who brought his bride over from Pakistan.
Bangladesh.
He got bored of her and killed her.
Killed her, yeah.
Yeah. This is not an unusual characteristic of the...
So they're not that upset that 3 girls have been stabbed to death. Because, I'm sure they are. Some of them really are. I'm sure they are. But I'm just making the point that they don't come out and protest anything in the country.
Muslims outside your house tomorrow.
Anything in the country that everyone else cares about. But that's identity politics. We only care what happens to our identity, our group. So if 10 black men were raped to death by Chinese men tomorrow, the Muslim community wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Well, we should care because we're all human. We live in the same city, the same country.
There's a massive cultural difference between the Muslim, the Islamic theology and the British. Even though religion is dead now in this country for white people, we are fundamentally Christians. Yeah. We have Christian beliefs and we follow Judeo-Christian traditions all the way through. But Islam is just totally different to that. It's a totally different religion to ours. Totally different belief system, totally different ideology. And people are trying to pretend it isn't, but it is.
Oh, it completely is. But a lot of this I don't think is down to Islam itself. This is down to culture. I know religion is part of culture, but I don't mean religion itself. It's down to the third world, importing people there, and it's down to non-assimilation.
I think the biggest issue is uncontrolled immigration.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to summarise this, I think, because I think it can be summarised very easily. The biggest issue facing this country is uncontrolled immigration. That 10 million people have come into this country in the last 10 years. The biggest issue within that uncontrolled immigration is Muslim uncontrolled immigration. The biggest percentage of the uncontrolled immigration that's causing the problem is the Islamic side of that, basically, because their cultural differences are even greater than some of the other cultural differences we'll see. That's why. So that's what's causing all the problem. And that analysis traps what happened in Southport as well, because that Rwandan family, their kids or whatever, because of the speed that so many people are coming in here, they don't have a chance to assimilate, to become part of the community. Will be fed at school. That little black kid, I'm now making him up. He wasn't. He's a man. He will have been fed at school a diet of white men are bad. Yeah, black people are good, brown people are good, white people are terrible. Yeah. We've been treated black people awfully for that. He'll have been brainwashed by the mainly female teachers at the school about how shit the country he lives in is and how bad white people are.
Yeah,
that's part of it as well, isn't it?
No, absolutely. It's self-hate from the UK, hating ourselves, and thinking that everyone else is better than us, of evil culture, stuff like that. And you can, we've always been poor at integration from Windrush onwards, but certain people from certain countries are easier to live with because there's some shared traits there, such as alcohol. So, black people, you can go for a drink with them after work, and that's where you bond. Muslim people are not going to go for a drink after work, are they? No. So, and they eat different type of food, so we can't even go for a restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, I think the West Indian community integrated well. Bear in mind, my dad was part of that in the 50s. I think that community, there are higher violence stats around West Indians. I know that. It's all, but I think they generally integrated better as a group than the Muslims have. Are you right?
No, of course, because there was less of them.
Yeah.
So sensible, you've got to integrate because you're not going to start a community. Yeah. There was none of this woke nonsense then, and we had lots of similarities.
Yeah.
But then, as more and more immigration came, more and more people don't have to integrate now because there's 10,000 of us here. We can just have our own little town here. A
little Somalian community.
And no one has to speak English, and we can do whatever we want and blah, 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 blah. And we're being told by the government that we can do whatever we want. We don't have to integrate, so they don't integrate. But then tens of thousands more and more, millions more over years, and it's just built a problem. The Windrush generation were a problem because no one wanted them. They weren't invited to come here. They weren't wanted by the people of this country to begin with. But then it just got worse and worse and worse as we added more and more and more people to the country.
Yeah.
And then we started adding lunatics and criminals and rapists. And then we can't deport anybody.
I'm assuming that Kurdish guy who pushed somebody onto the train had come over in a boat, had he?
I've no idea, probably. Won't be able to deport him because Kurds are badly treated in the 3 countries they live in.
And he's got mental issues.
Mental health issues, yeah.
I want to talk about
there was a time once, there was a case where we couldn't deport an African guy because he had AIDS and NHS have a duty of care for him now. So we couldn't deport him. And he was a violent criminal of rape or whatever. We couldn't deport him because he relies on the NHS for his AIDS medicine. It's like, how mental are we?
Yeah, bloody hell.
Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers, I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.